Welcome back to Creating Cooperative Kids. I'm your host, Bill Corbett. As if we don't have enough to do in our personal lives, we then worry about kids doing well in school. Now, most parents wish they could find the solution to helping their children and teens excel in school, but end up making homework time a primary focus and issue of conflict as well. My next guest has some advice for parents that may change the way you handle your child's education. Dr. Richard Wells helps parents and students implement strategies that have greatly expanded their academic activity in school and at home. A United States Marine, Dr. Wells has developed a home leadership program that drastically increases parent involvement in such a way that it establishes goals and personal development as a family endeavor. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Bill.
I can't wait to hear about this because I think there's a lot of great leadership programs out there that are great in business, in the military. By the way, I was in the military as well. I did my time in the Air Force many years ago, and I learned a lot of principles of leadership. But now you're saying let's take some of that and use it in how we kind of manage our kids and getting them motivated through education. Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, I spent the last 20 years with some of the best leadership training in the world in the Marine Corps, and the last 2 decades also as a teacher in the public elementary system. And those two things go well together.
Leadership stuff that you learned, and now you're applying it with parents, and you're...
Well, there's a special relationship in the house. And, you know, I know that from having special relationships with Marines, you can take advantage of that relationship to influence and get them to accomplish ambitions and desires that you feel you could help them with.
Because the parents have more power over the kids than they realize.
They do, and to use that influence deliberately, and I think that's the key, deliberately will help you go far in what it is that you want for your children and for your own educational goals as well.
Now, where does homework fit in here?
I mean, homework fits. Homework is part of the school. See, what I do is I help parents establish an educational plan for their children, and with that, it helps them to focus on what it is that they want. I started with me when I wasn't real sure what I wanted to do. Spent time floundering around in the university, and I ended up joining the Marine Corps because I felt that I needed to focus and needed to challenge myself intellectually and morally. But once I was trained up through the military, then I needed to find out something that I wanted to do with my life. And what allowed me to do that is I became a reader. And I needed to spend time journaling, and I needed to spend time figuring out where my enthusiasm lied. And as I gained that clarity and started doing the things that I wanted to do in the educational system, I developed this plan that helps parents support and encourage their kids' schooling.
And an IEP is a big part of that, you're saying?
Well, it is, but it's outside of the school. I think some of the myths is if I meticulously plan the schooling or the education for my kid, then I'll pigeonhole them in a particular career, or I'll stifle their creativity. And I think that's not true. I think that as you expose them to the different themes of education, that opens that all up. It gives them something to sink their teeth into.
So for those viewers who are not sure, I'm just throwing a term around there, IEP, Individual Education Plan, which is something that parents can do to help make sure that their children are getting adequate education, maybe the proper classes, potentially having to reach out to certain experts based on the needs of the child, especially if we're dealing with any learning disorders, those kinds of things as well. So the IEP can be very powerful, and I don't think a lot of parents realize that they have the control to do that, and they almost have to act like a project manager for their child in creating that plan, right?
Well, I think that the crux of it is that education is so much broader than school. You know, education has to do with building your capacity to endure. It has to do with being a keen and active participant with who you associate with. It has to do with increasing your understanding, and it also has to do with living a good life. And once you understand that that's what you're dealing with when you're dealing with this idea of education, then it helps you to put yourself in what your responsibility is in moving forward with your kids' schooling.
So how does the home leadership work?
Well, home leadership starts with the plan, and it starts with creating the vision. I think often we stop at the dreaming part, where we keep it in our minds what it is that we want to accomplish with our kids. It becomes a vision once you actually write it down and think it through. And then it has to do with creating a belief with your kids. You just don't leave them with what it is that they want. Now you can create that belief in I believe that you can accomplish what it is that you want. And oh, by the way, here's the work that's going to be needed in order for you to accomplish what it is that you set forth. So all of that type of support and encouragement needs to come from the home. It's not going to come from the school. I think that's the responsibility of the family.
What about the mission? You're suggesting there should be the home leader should have a mission.
In the Marine Corps, we have a very clear mission on what it is that we do, and we fight. And the home leader, their mission is to educate. And educate has to do with deliberate learning. And with that deliberate learning, it has to do with you setting a goal, an ambition on what it is that you want to become, what it is that you want to achieve. And then you have to establish the habits, and you have to establish the attitude, you have to establish the daily activity that'll get you to that goal. And what I address in the blueprint, and what I've done for clients, is we need to do that for intellectual endeavors. We need to do it for finance. You need to bring your children into the fold with the finance in your household. You need to do that with the relationships, extended family. You need to do it with their spirituality, right? And in addition to academics. So with that, you address a lifestyle. And the lifestyle has to do with how you're going to spend your time, right? What kind of life are you going to lead? And how are you going to spend your daily time? What I like to do is I like to break the day up for parents. And I said, you're going to spend part of your time sleeping, and you're going to spend part of your time at work, and you're also going to spend part of that time at school. That's what your kids do. The rest of that time is leisure time. One of the most important things you can do is teach them how to use their leisure. You could play. You can spend some of that time in religious activity. But the main part you can use that leisure time is with education. And education has to do with virtuous activity as opposed to being bored. It has to do with contributing to your community rather than being a cynic. Right? It has to do with going after your particular ambitions rather than a wait-and-see strategy.
So you're suggesting in a lot of these aspects of family life, we need to incorporate the kids into the somehow, wrap them in.
Where else are they going to learn it?
Right.
It's where else are they going to learn how to establish firm relationships? Where else are they going to learn truly to cure the disorder of the soul? One
thing that some families do, and I'm not sure, and I'd be interested to see what you think about this, is getting involved in altruism in some particular way, giving back to the community and incorporating the kids into that. For example, like serving at a soup kitchen or putting in time at a food bank. Do you agree?
I wholeheartedly. I spent my adult life in public service in the school system and service to this great country, and I think that's the key to greatness, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think those are valuable lessons that are learned. And again, where else will you learn that other than the home?
And one thing that I remind parents of all the time is they're on stage. The kids are watching them. So their own performance as a leader is important, right?
Well, the phrase we use in the military is lead by example. So, interestingly, one of the questions that I had to ask myself is, what am I going to do with my life? And I had to do that. I had people that loved me, and they told me, you can be anything that you wanted to. but you can't keep them there, right? You have to not just teach them how to dream, but teach them how to create a vision and teach them how to believe in themselves. And then, hey, Bob, this is the work that needs to be involved. Now, you can start right away by doing that yourself and then helping your child along the way.
And this, parents need to demonstrate more leadership with their families because we're putting the next generation out there, and I think it's really important what you're saying, and your work is very important. But I want to thank you for your service.
Thank you very much. I
And now
appreciate
what
that.
you're doing with service with the schools in this area. So keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Although many of us may have had great parents, it is my belief that parenting today is far more challenging. And if we want to raise emotionally balanced and resilient children, then we must allow ourselves to seek help from experts like the ones we've met today. Dan Blanchard is a highly educated high school teacher who is changing teenage lives every day, and Virginia Ann Griffiths is a coach who works hard at helping parents de-stress and get organized. Annette Aberdale-Kendra specializes in young female wellness, and Dr. Richard Wells, who you just met, creates the Home Leadership Program to help parents position their children for academic success. We thank them for all that they do for families and children and appreciate them taking time out to appear on this show and to share their work with us. Which brings my 30th episode to a close. I hope you'll tune into future episodes as I offer more tools to help you rebuild your parenting toolbox as an awesome parent or teacher. Now, if you're watching this on DVD or online and you'd like to get it in your local public access channel, contact my office to find out how to do that. Making the world a better place to live begins at home as engaged, encouraged, and masterful parents. I'm Bill Corbett, and I'll see you the next time on Creating Cooperative Kids.
With the lights off tonight, even though I'm scared of the dark, I can lick that thing under my bed with one hand. I know I can. In my heart, I'm gonna be big. I'm gonna reach real high. Just need some time and a little room, and someday I'll go walking on the moon. Someday